back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a GWE100. It's a tier 10 German SPG. It's located on the north spawn of Redshire Encounter and it's under the command of TanqAndTonic. Now he's got a 21cm howitzer to play with, capable of doing 900 alpha, and well, there we go, it's popped up. It's capable of doing 900 alpha and penetrating 53mm of armor with standard HE, and with the premium HE it'll do 1200, and the armor piercing will do 640, which is a bit of a, that's a bit naughty, because if you think about it, 21cm shells should do a lot more than just 640. And I always think board gaming's got that wrong. If you're going to have armor piercing rounds, they ought to do the same penetration values they used to do in the past. Because if you remember, oh, we got a hit there. If you remember in the past, an armor piercing round from a T92 used to be able to do something like 2,250 hit points of damage, or was it 2,500? And I do remember watching the Salty Jedi on a stream, and he actually shot a Chinese heavy tank, the 113, on cliff, and he managed to punch an armor piercing round right through his engine bay, and he got a max roll and took the tank out with one shot. Just one. Fabulous shot it was as well. Well, that was another fabulous shot, because that hit the top of the Conqueror for 335. So it's a good start for TanqAndTonic. You can see the hole. Look, it's actually on the cupola. Right on the cupola. Yeah, the tank commander's not going to like that. He's going to need a couple of aspirin at the very least. Okay, he's going for the Death Star this time. Although that guy's changing position, so if the IS-7 gets it, rounds out. It lands on his front plate. It looked like his front plate. TanqAndTonic looked away at the last moment, but well, he looks to one side. Now that is a trait that I've noticed with quite a few players. Now the standard reload is 37.39 seconds, and TanqAndTonic's got 30.04, so he's knocked 7 seconds off the reload time straight away. He was thinking about going for the Sheridan, but it's a difficult shot. But he might be able to get the 705, and no, unfortunately he doesn't. It looks like he just damaged the tracks on the 705. There's a lot of action up there at the moment. Only 3 of our tanks went up and one of them's just died. And there's a huge number of enemy tanks in the vicinity. So TanqAndTonic might have to relocate very shortly. Rounds out. Yeah, that was a hit. In fact, it was a hit on the Object 705, but the 257 took some of the splash as well. Now, I think he is going to have to relocate, because there's only 2 tanks now holding back a whole bunch of the enemy. And in front of him is a Leopard 1 and a Standard B, and although they'll be able to hold the enemy back for a short while, considering some of these are heavy tanks, it's going to be a difficult job. So he needs to put around on that 705 to help the Type 4, and he does! A lovely hit on the 705, 186, 81 on the Death Star. Now the GWE100 never actually existed. It's a fake tank by Wargaming, because it's an extrapolation of what Germany would have done if they'd actually had the E100 in production. As you know, they only made one version of the E100, and it was fully produced except for the turret, and unfortunately we no longer know where it is. But oh yes, Death Star dies! 97 hit points, but he got the round right on target, and the guy was overwhelmed. So he took down the enemy tanks on one side of the Zeppelin channel. Yep, sadly the E100 was taken by the British and taken back to the UK and used for a range target for our troops for some time, for our tanks, and as far as we know it was sold to a scrap dealer, but because the bottom had fallen out of the scrap market, much like the bottom's going to fall out the scrap market in Ukraine for a very short while, in a short while. Unfortunately, they couldn't sell the scrap and they couldn't sell the E100, so according to some, they buried it. That's what they think. So somewhere in Portsmouth, because that's where the scrapyard was, there's an E100 sitting under the ground, buried somewhere. But that's only guessed at the moment. Oh, that Sheridan just had a big hit from Standard B. We're actually ahead of the enemy by 2 tanks at the moment. And in no small part, that's down to TanqAndTonic, because he's actually done 1,802 hit points of damage and 1,259 of stun assists. So he's really been helping his teammates up there. All the tanks we sent up there, they all died. But the enemy is effectively blunted their attack. They can't move forward because there's too many tanks facing them now. And so TanqAndTonic's decided that he needs to switch targets. And he's gone back to that little hill for a moment. But no, he's decided the 705 is still up there. And he's already hit that guy a few times. And it looks like he's going up on that little hill to try and snipe at our enemy. Our teammates, rather. And he splashes him for 62 and gets some stun. Oh, and a lot of stun assist there. A lovely shot from the Jaegeru. Finished him off. And TanqAndTonic gets the benefit from the stun assist. He stunned him, slowed him down just long enough for the Jaegeru to get the kill. Always nice when you can help your teammates by slowing the enemy down, making them vulnerable. Okay, we're back to that spotting hill again, and TanqAndTonic's lining up a shot on the Leopard 1 if he can. Remember, that tank's got thin armour. Rounds out. Oh! Splash kill. The shell landed to one side. The Leopard actually got hit by somebody else just before we hit him. Or TanqAndTonic hit him. And he died. You can see his turret turned to one direction. I think he took the round to his right. And he was looking over there. And that's when the shell hit. But our guys are now streaming into the enemy area because there's only 2 enemies left. A batch at 25 ton and their object 261, and the 261's just been spotted. So TanqAndTonic's lining up a shot, but he's not fully dialed in yet. Rounds out. And he gets him! Direct hit, wipes out the 261. So that's 3 kills for TanqAndTonic. And there's only that batch at 25 ton left, and we don't know where he is. But our team have spread out all over the battlefield. Well, not all over the battlefield. And they found him. And TanqAndTonic's onto him, dialing in. Not loaded, but about to be. Let's see if we can slow him down a little. And before we can shoot, he's out the game by the T30. Here's the end of battle results, and that was an ace tanker game for TanqAndTonic in the GW E100. He managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 15 in total, and he got a Confederate medal for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. And he certainly deserved that ace because he was doing a huge amount of effort to help his team win the game. And yeah, he did put the effort in, I'm sure. Look at the damage. We can see that it was actually the Prototypo Standard B who did the most damage with 5,511 hit points. He got a high caliber Confederate and a tank sniper and the Liver Slayers medal as well. So a very effective player in the Prototypo Standard B. The T30 got the second highest damage on our team, but not the second highest damage overall, because the second highest damage overall was a player killed by TanqAndTonic. It was the Leopard 1 on the enemy team. He got 2,874, but got bested by TanqAndTonic with an Arty round. And the third highest damage went to the T30 with 2,735, and TanqAndTonic got 2,497, so he wasn't that far behind the leaders on damage. When it came to kills, it was TanqAndTonic up the top with the T30. They both got 3 kills apiece. And had that T30 delayed his shot just a split second longer, I think TanqAndTonic would have taken that batch at 25 ton, because of course they don't have much armor, and one of his 21 centimeter rounds probably would have finished the guy off, but the T30 did get it, and so they shared the honours for the top number of kills in the game. 2 kills went to the Standard B, the Leopard 1 on our team, and the batch at 25 ton on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, it's the Standard B again with 1,140. And I think he got that because he was tier 9 and he was hitting tier 10 tanks and doing huge amounts of damage to them. So he got 1,140 for the highest amount of damage in the game. The Manticore did 976, and I suspect that was because he was doing a lot of spotting. Yes, he was. 3,467 hit points of spotting, and 976 also went to the Leopard 1 on Arty, but unfortunately he didn't survive. TanqAndTonic picked up 961, which is only a small fraction behind them in terms of XP, and you'll see why very shortly. He fired 12 rounds at the enemy, got 7 direct hits, and he did penetrate one of the enemy tanks. So that's why he got a high roll. 15 splash on the enemy. Now let's see if I can see which one he actually penned. There it is. It's the Object 261. That round went straight through his armor, took him out of the game. Okay, 15 splash, damage of 2,497, all of it at long range, 300 meters. 9 enemy vehicles damaged, 3 killed, there's for the Confederate. 1,823 hit points of stun assist of 13 stuns. He earned 36,483 credits from the game, and after resupply of ammunition and consumables took away 9,765 credits profit. 961 XP for the game, times 2 for the first victory, took away 2,884 experience points altogether. A very effective game. Nice ace tanker. Let's have a look at the armor for this vehicle. It is based on a heavy tank, the E100 heavy tank, which, as you know, does have fairly vulnerable lower plate. You can see it's 80mm actual impacted armor. With the angling, it comes out at 165 or thereabouts. Upper plate, 80mm again, but 143. The engine deck area, because of course remember this is a heavy tank in reverse with the engine up front, even though it's technically this is a front of the front of the E100. They've just reversed it. And with this, the impacted armor is only 40mm on top, and of course, so it is vulnerable to Arty rounds. Now it does have those side skirts. Now that acts as spaced armor, which you can see on the live model. There you go. It actually shows that those spaces actually do protect the side of this vehicle quite considerably, because you can see here the actual impacted armor, or the armor on the side of the vehicle, is 50mm, but the spaced armor, the skirts actually act as 60mm on top of that, the spacing. So that does protect this tank considerably, but you can see it's actually from the front, this thing is pretty difficult to kill. Now, if we go back to the collision model again, so we can see the various nuances in the armor, you can see the gun shield is actually stronger than on many of the tanks you'll find in the game, many of the SPGs. It's 75mm on the front, so you'd never want to shoot one of these from the front, because even with the angling, you're getting about 86, 87mm. Around the gun there, it's a bit weaker, you can see. There is a viewport there for the gunners, not for the driver. The driver is actually up front, he's up here. And of course the side of the gun shield around the sides is only 40mm thick. So best not to aim for the skirt, because that comes out at about 123. Best to aim, if you're shooting at something like this, is to aim for the side of the vehicle. And of course there's a big hole at the back where you can shoot HE rounds in, and the rear gun shield is only 14mm thick. So on the whole, it's very difficult to kill one of these from the front, because it basically looks like a heavy tank. And you certainly don't want to ram one of these, because if you do ram, you might come off worse if you're in a medium or a light. So heavy tank ramming only, but yeah, watch out, because if one of these tries to ram you, you will probably come off worse, because you've got to remember, this is 100 tons of SPG. 100 tons. It is truly a heavy tank in every sense of the word, with a very big gun, 21cm. Let's have a look at the modules. Well, driver up front, and he's got a gunner's mate or a driver's mate alongside him, radio operator, and he's got the radio transmission in front of both of them. The engine's directly behind them with the fuel tanks either side. But of course, remember, they're protected by the skirts, so very difficult to get at those unless you land a shell directly on top of the vehicle. Gunner is on the right hand side next to the gun, tank commander on the opposite side. There's two loaders sitting right at the back of the breech, and they've got two ready racks right next door to them. There's no deep store of ammunition, so really if you want to take out one of these, aiming for the gun shield is probably the best thing to do, because you'd have to go around the back to try and avoid that skirt stopping the shells, because if you do aim for the skirts here to try and get the ammo rack, you're only going to get 120 millimeters of armor, which is going to be pretty difficult to get through, whereas if you shoot from the back it's only 40 millimeters, much easier to get through and take out. But yes, you've got to get behind one of these if you really want to be effective. Either that or use HE on it. That's probably the other answer, because being open topped, it's going to be more vulnerable for the crew. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. It was certainly a very good one by TanqAndTonic. You don't often see tier 10 ace tankers, but when you do see it, you think, oh, that's good, because it's very difficult to take down tier 10 tanks. But when Arty does it and gives the team an easy game like this, then obviously they owe you one, because after all, Arty was the means of actually disabling those enemy tier 10 tanks. And he certainly did a very good job, TanqAndTonic. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And of course, please do let other people know that we're giving all of the proceeds from our channel to the Red Cross Ukraine appeal to help the refugees. So the more of our videos you watch, the more money you're sending and helping people in need at the moment. Thanks for watching.